Well, let's talk about spanking, shall we?
Rachel was visiting a friend. She was probably 3 or 4 in that before school age. And our neighbor had little kids. And so we would trade back and forth. So I went over to pick her up. And when I walked in, she said, "Oh, is it time to go?" So I thought, perfect opportunity. I got her home. I didn't address it there. But I did give her a spanking. It's true. I did. But I just said, when I come in, you're going to say, "Hi, Mom." You know, that's how we do this. So the next time she went over there, I did the review. Now remember, when I come, you're going to say, "Hi, Mom." You're not going to say, "Oh, I didn't want to go." So it was beautiful, because then when I picked her up, it was just all that, yes, Mommy's here at last. Yeah.
And the interwebs went berserk.
And they didn't stop either.
No,
They still went berserk.
they kept on going.
A lot of people didn't really like that clip.
No.
Even, what's crazy is a lot of people didn't like that clip, even though that we have some people who believe in spanking.
Oh yeah, I know.
And we're going to talk about that too.
Yeah, they brought it up again.
Yes.
When we dropped this doc, "Spank Your Kids, Save America."
Which I like the title.
Yeah,
I think that was a great title. I don't care what you say. That was a great title. Everybody, I know you're watching right now. You guys had a problem with that. I don't care. It was a great title. That's why you watched it. And if you haven't seen it, you need to go see it. This is a series that we've started for our 10-year anniversary. What is it called? 10 shots. I want to keep saying to the head, but it's not to the head. It's 10 shots of sanity.
there you go.
The series.
Yeah.
And it's our 10-year anniversary series.
Happy birthday to us.
Yes, that's right. 10 years. God has been super kind of CrossPolitic. And so this is a way of us being able to bless you. And we've always wanted to do something like this. We did the Worldview Shotgun series. That series is hands down one of my favorite. I should have that stinger still available. Yeah, if you haven't heard the Worldview Shotgun series, you're probably, because you've only been listening to CrossPolitic for like the last 2 or 3 years. Go back about 7 years. Was it 7 or 8 years ago?
I think you can search it on the Fight Laugh Feast app,
which you should
Worldview
have.
Shotgun series. Download the Fight Laugh Feast app and search it. And yeah, it was one of our early series that we did to explain, our worldview and how we were applying biblical teaching to politics.
Yes, because a lot of people kept hitting us up and saying, "Well, I agree with what you're saying, but I don't understand how you get there."
Right.
Like, what is the connections you're making from here and there? And so what we did in Worldview Shotgun series was basically lay out for you our worldview, biblical doctrine. How does it work? It was basically a 101 in biblical theonomy.
Right. We didn't want to.
We didn't want to say that. I know I blew it, but by the time people jumped on, it was like, okay, it's theonomy. But that's the thing though. A lot of people, they do not want to claim the name, but when you listen to how they articulate their biblical worldview, that's exactly what they're doing. They're using biblical theonomy at the end of the day. They just don't like the name. They don't want to have to deal with the fight of it. And so they just go ahead and say, well, I'm just using biblical worldview. It's like, that's theonomy. But anyway, there's all kinds of things coming. So go check out the Worldview Shotgun series. If you're live streaming right now with us, go ahead and share and tell everybody we're here. We're actually live. I'm looking at the comments and I don't see any comments, but if I see any comments from you guys, I'll be sure to try and bring them up if you guys have any questions, thoughts. I love to see you guys say what you think about the series. I might be generous today to invite people to come on and actually ask us questions live. I might be. It depends on how many people are streaming, decide to kick it with. I'm feeling a little generous. Gabe is not here today. He's out doing Business Makers. Is that right? If I remember correctly?
I think he's investigating venues for
yes, for the conference. So
maybe Business Makers as well. I can't keep up with.
Pray the Lord gives him blessings that we do that. And so it's just me and Pastor Toby today, and so we're going to handle this. So we'll see how this whole live stream runs. If it does run well and you guys want to talk, I might just let you in here. So we were talking about Worldview Shotgun series. Now let's go back to the doc. DJ, could you bring me back to the screen? Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Look at that.
It's good having a producer.
This is going to be a doozy.
3.1 million views on X, viral on TikTok, and even Newsweek picked it up.
Many outraged responses called it child abuse, called for Mrs. Wilson to be locked up and her children taken away.
Accusations of assault, even death threats. And I'm thinking a generation ago, this was normal. You have a grandma that's quoting Proverbs telling young mothers to discipline their kids, and now it's national news. And now it's even dangerous.
And perhaps most surprisingly, many of these reactions came from professing Christians.
Okay.
As Doug Wilson said in response to the whole ruckus,
it is time for us to say out loud what really needs to happen. A very large number of our evangelical leaders need to become Christians. Am I questioning their salvation? Well, yes. Yes, I am.
But if America is full of evangelicals who need to become true Christians, America is in deep trouble.
I gotta go back because I gotta talk about this.
What's that?
You know I'm about to do.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're
Surprisingly, many.
Okay, I gotta stop it there. Okay, so there's a couple of things I love about this doc. First of all, I love the doc because it's a unique conversation and we need to have it. And I want to talk about the blind spot that people have about this conversation. Right. Because it's a lot of people, again, a lot of people saw this and said, I spank my kids, but I'm not willing to spank my kids for what Nancy spanked her kids for.
Right.
That sounds wrong.
Right.
And I want to talk about that. I want to deal with that in a second, but I'm going to play this and I'm going to stop it again because this is so, well, she's right there in the scene. I'm just going to leave it. We went to go film at your house.
Right.
And your wife she's in the film with us.
Yes.
But she's just in the back doing her thing for real.
Yeah.
And it's like for me, this brought so much joy to my heart. And I don't think people understand why. And I'm going to try to explain why this is so amazing.
Yeah.
Is because this is not fake.
No, she was like making lunches for kids. She was like, I got to make the lunches for the kids.
And we got to film.
Yeah, and we got to film. So.
And it's like, and it just happened. And it was like watching her go back there and not pay us any attention. Yeah. And it's like, in my mind, I thought about this idea that we have this war going on in life. We have our men who are going out in the battlefield and they're fighting. Yeah. They're engaging culture. They're fighting online, whatever they're doing, right? Then they're doing their things. And you got your wife. She's in the house running the thing. You know what I mean? And it's just like, it's so beautiful to see.
Yeah.
And it's like souls are being managed and taken care of. And while we're just out here and she's not fazed at all.
And that's totally her happy place too. Like her happy place is in the background, making a home. That's like that, like, I mean, like she, I tell her, once a year, like you're going to come on the wives show.
Yes.
And she's like, okay, and she does it, but that's not her favorite. Like her, what her favorite is to be in the background, like you see her there.
Yeah.
Making dinner, making lunch. I mean, she loves teaching kids at Logos School. She loves being a mom and a wife, but that's her favorite place. But it is really fun that we caught her.
It was such a huge testimony, I think, to
yeah. It was not acting. That's just the thing. It's like it was not acting.
It just happened.
She was just doing it.
And I don't know if anybody caught it.
Yeah, well, I know, but it's gonna make your heart happy for the rest of your life.
Every time I'm gonna stop it and just like praise God.
Yeah,
praise God for her work.
Yeah. Right. So I pulled off a few of these responses on our YouTube video that you're talking about.
Yeah. So somebody in the comment, I think KB.
Oh, you got one already? We got one in our
I agree with
comments?
that statement, not willing to spank for her reasoning.
Yeah, there you go. So there's several add to this. Here's one from YouTube. Based on the clip, the reason Mrs. Wilson spanked her daughter is the concern, not the fact that she spanked her. If she spanked her for not celebrating her arrival to pick her up to her liking, that doesn't seem a good justification. It's a little misleading to use that example to highlight outrage over spanking. Pro-spanking believers could disagree about the application here while championing using the rod appropriately. So that's a similar example. Yeah. Here's another one. Excuse me, what? I understand why Christians were outraged by the example you gave at the beginning. This child was not being disobedient. She was expressing a completely normal feeling, disappointment. That's actually a really helpful phrase there. Completely normal feeling.
Yeah.
Did the child scream at her mom and run away? No. This is a wild take, and I'm a believer who does consider the rod necessary in certain circumstances. And then one last one. I believe in discipline. There's not enough of it, but spanking because you want praise? ?
Wow, talk about missing the point.
Yeah. So that's maybe the place we want to drill down on for this live stream.
Yeah, I think that's one of them.
At least one of them. Yes.
No, because I think that part of what we were trying to do, the show really, while we talked about spanking, the show was much bigger than that. Like the show was about saving America. And Pastor Wilson talks about this a lot. He says it's hard to make a good omelet with bad eggs. Right. And I think that people don't understand what makes a bad egg. When we're talking about the eggs, we're talking about the family. Like The family is the core institution of society.
Sure.
However well they turn out is how well your society turns out.
That's right.
And so when we're talking about the responsibility of a parent, we're talking about their responsibility to groom and train their heart to obedience and joyful obedience to their parents.
Right.
And
but I think that what you just said though is the thing that I don't know that people always get. You said train their heart.
That's right.
To joyful obedience.
Yes.
Which includes that would mean their emotions, their affections, their heart.
Yes.
And that's a piece though that I think is what is tripping some people up on this.
So here's one of the things that I was thinking about with this, and I don't want to put words in. I call her First Lady. That's she would hate that. I'm sure she would. But I call her First Lady. I don't want to put words in her mouth. But I thought about this for a moment, and I was thinking, so here's this gift that the parent just gave their child,
right,
to be able to go and enjoy the company of a friend and hang out there and have all the excitement and the attitude that should have been in place when the child sees the gift giver.
Yep.
Was thank you.
Yep. Joy.
Oh, thank you so much. It's time to go. Oh, you've given me so much. Thank you so much. I can't wait for this again.
Right.
And the appreciation that should have radiated from the heart, right, instead act like it deserved what it got.
Right. Well, and you actually spoke to this in a draft of the doc. And,
yes.
And we ended up cutting it.
So one of the problems with having all this lovely content and trying to stay around the 25-minute mark is that we get so much content.
But I think honestly, Christians have been far more discipled by Disney than they have by the Word of God. And this clip that didn't make it into the final doc, I think you were getting at that in a really helpful way.
We need to understand that gentle parenting, the movement, it didn't just appear from nowhere. The philosophical underpinning of egalitarianism were seeded decades earlier, and much of it was in the stories that we told our children. Disney, it taught an entire generation the same lie: follow your heart. Think about every Disney movie that you grew up on. The hero is the one who defies their parents. Ariel disobeys her father, she gets the prince. Simba runs away and becomes king. Moana, she ignores her dad and saves her people. The message? When your heart disagrees with your parents, follow your heart. But that's an inversion of the authority structure that God designed. Parents have the authority over the hearts of their children. And when a child's heart leads them towards foolishness, the parent's job is to guide that heart through discipline, through correction, through the rod, toward the right path. Disney flipped all of that. The children's heart became the ultimate authority, and parents became obstacles to self-discovery. And a generation believed it.
Ugh.
So, several things here. No, I mean, number one, I don't think people, we touch on this in the doc, but we didn't have time to develop it deeply. But the thing that many people fail to realize is that the crime in the streets began as a seed in the heart.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the point we're making. We're saying disciplining your children, like you're raising citizens. Like that's why this is about saving America. But the thing that people, I don't think realize is like, so when you see a bad attitude in a little kid, that is the seed of a riot. Like that's a seed, like that bad attitude, that refusal. And maybe we even need to like drill down even more. I think you and I assume certain things that maybe some Christians don't realize. You know, number one, nobody's saying that the way that Nancy addressed her daughter is what every parent has to do in every circumstance. Mm-hmm. There are multiple tools, and each parent is assigned by God to use wisdom. But what we are saying is that what she did in that moment was very reasonable. It's biblical.
Yes.
It is a biblical example. And Christians say, I can't believe you would do that. I would say, I don't think you understand then the nature of sin. To have a bad attitude, not being grateful, not being joyful when your mom has given you this gift and she returns and she says, it's time to go home. Jesus says, murder begins in the heart. When you think in your heart,
right.
Jesus said, you just stabbed your brother.
Right.
And Christians don't believe Jesus. Christians, Jesus says, when there's a little curse in the heart, a little anger in the heart, you just stabbed your brother.
Yeah, that's
and we talk about this in the doc where we're saying like, like the poor Ukrainian girl that gets stabbed in the neck.
Right.
Like
Irina Zarutska.
Yeah, like that starts with a 3 or 4-year-old saying,
Yep.
Like, honey, it's time to go now. And she, like, and Christian parents like, no, like that's not a fit.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. That
Right.
is the seed of rage. That is the seed of murder, Jesus says.
Paul Washer talks about this. I wanted to grab the clip, but I didn't put that in the film. But Paul Washer talks about like you see your kids as they're babies and you see them throwing fits. And he's like, the only problem, and he's like, we laugh at, it's cute.
I know.
He's like, but the problem is that they're only missing the strength that goes along with that at that point.
Right. Yeah.
Like, their heart is already in the place.
If they could kill you, they
would have already.
Like that, and I don't think
rip you apart.
And people just think, but they're cute. And they're not, no. I mean, like they are cute, but like that sin is not cute.
Yeah.
That sin is vile. I mean, that it's murderous. Or the other thing that Jesus points to about our hearts, he says adultery begins in the heart. He says when a man looks at a woman to lust after her, that's already adultery. And again, I don't think people connect these dots. It's like you said a minute ago, the parent's job is to train hearts.
Yeah.
That means training affections. That means saying, okay, no. That little desire right there to not cheerfully obey, that's turning to hell. That's turning and this is again related to sexual morality. Like, do we have, and many Christians will be like, yeah, I hate the sexual immorality, hate pornography, hate, OnlyFans, hate rampant adultery, hate all those things. Okay, then if you want to fight those in the street, start fighting them now in the hearts of your little kids when they're 3 and they're 4 and they're saying, I want to do this.
Yep.
This feels good to me.
Right.
I don't want to obey you cheerfully. I don't want to submit to the word of God right now.
Well, some of us are willing to. This is what I've noticed. We are willing to accept obedience that's not cheerful. Like, and one of the things I thought was so amazing about this moment, because before all the hype, before it blew up, I remember looking at the clip and I was thinking, I've missed this.
Yeah.
Like as a parent,
you were like taking notes.
I was taking notes. I was like, because I was noticing her pattern recognition was instantaneous. It was faster, and she didn't wait 3 years for it to develop.
Right.
She caught it so early, and I was like, oh, I missed this. Like I wasn't catching this.
Yes.
And so part of, I go back to this again. Remember, our responsibility is to train our kids so that they can meet with us, with our enemies at the gates. That's what we're supposed to be doing.
Right.
So when we are working with our kids, they have the joyful obedience to obey immediately. I tell my kids, as I learned this from Vody, you do what I say, when I say, with a good attitude, immediately.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's the response that needs to be inside of our kids, because guess what? That's the same thing that God has required of us.
That's right. And that's the thing. Parents need to remember, this is not a parent being an megalomaniac. Is that the right word? Yeah. Egomaniac. Yeah, both of them. I don't know. All of that. You know what I'm talking about.
Words.
But it's like it's actually a parent submitting to God. God says you have to teach your children to obey.
Right.
And it begins by them obeying you. And when you teach them to obey you, you're teaching them to obey me, God says. And if you don't have that in your mind, like, I'm required by God to model God to my kids. Now, are you God? No, you're not. You're under God. But God says, I want them to learn to obey me by obeying you, which means right away, all the way, and cheerfully.
Oh, Pastor, I don't like what you just said, because here's
I know.
Here's why I don't like what you just said.
I know.
Because when you start this is a doctrine of God issue.
It is.
This is really a doctrine of God issue, because think about for a moment, and this is why we don't like what Nancy did, because if we have to obey our parents like that, and that models how we're supposed to be obeying God,
exactly right.
Then as soon as we get something from God, like, no,
you're absolutely right. We refuse to discipline the hearts of our children, because that would mean we have to discipline our hearts before God.
In the same way.
Yeah, we're a bunch of grumpy muffins.
It's right.
And we think that God is somehow okay with that.
You don't get to drag your feet in obedience.
No.
Your heart immediately turns.
Yeah.
Joy.
Yeah.
Yes, Lord.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not, and here's the thing, and it's because of the gift. Like, I've been working with my kids, they were asking, like, Dad, are we Arminian or Calvinist, right? And I'm like, well, which one do you think? It's like Arminianism sounds like heresy. I'm like, raised you right.
Yeah,
but
you're hoping.
Right? Because, and one of the things that I said, I was talking about is like Pelagianism versus semi-Pelagian versus, sovereignty. And the people who understand the gift are the ones who then respond in joy.
Right.
When you understand that you were dead, you couldn't reach to God. There was nothing in you whatsoever that you could do. You didn't have existence yourself. You were dead in your trespasses and sins with no righteousness, and God breathed life into you.
Right.
So you say, thank you.
Right.
Everything after that is a gift. God made you alive. Right. He gave you his image, and he's put breath of life in you. He gave you fruit and trees and all these things. And when God comes walking the garden, you don't hide.
Yep.
You say, thank you.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And so like, that's one of the things that I think is at the center of this is like, we've forgotten it's kind of the things I want us to do a conference on the holiness of God, because we've talked about so many things around politics in our last, 7 years of biblical Christianity and evangelicalism. And we talked about application a lot of biblical doctrine, but I'm watching us shift to slip away from understanding sovereignty and understanding holiness and like all these things. That's why we're going and talking about holy wars. Like all these things are getting back to the holiness of God, which is why everything in the world matters.
Yeah. Right.
Holiness isn't something that's contained inside in your thought process. Right. And so you just try not to sin. It's actually how you act in the world.
That's really good. And again, like we are so biblically illiterate, and we read the Old Testament holiness code, like the cleanliness codes. And Christians don't know what to do with that. And God's like, watch out what you touch. Watch out where you go. Watch out what you wear. Watch out how you do your hair. Watch out, like all this stuff. And he's teaching them holiness. And even though those particular guidelines have passed away with the Old Testament ceremonial code, the whole point of it was training wheels to teach all of us that everything you do, everything you touch, everything you wear, God cares about.
Yes.
It's all holy to God.
Oh, Pastor, I don't know if we're going to get through all this because KB is in here talking. Thank you, KB. I appreciate the comments. But so KB says, KB, so by the same logic, when that woman is grumpy to her husband, should she be backslapped?
No.
Now, this is fascinating because KB, you don't know that you're doing this, but you haven't thought through the biblical categories and rules of authority and hierarchy. A husband doesn't have the rule of rod over his wife.
Right.
And so, no, he doesn't. But he does have the responsibility as her head to deal with the grumpy attitude. Right. But the rule of the rod is not given to him towards his wife. It is given to them towards their children. So it's a different category. In the same way, the rule of the sword is not given to the family to use, which we talk about in the doc as well, which is one of my favorite parts of the doc. So how a husband deals with his wife and his grumpy attitude, like we talked about in the doc, which we should play this part too. We should play the part, and I'm going to, DJ, I'll tell you when. The second part of the doc that I cut, piece of a doc that I cut, dealt with the fact of there's two ways to ruin our children. Right. And it deals with and I think this is in the doc too. When you come to discipline your kids, your heart needs to be dealt with first. So that you're not disciplining your kids in anger, but as a point of restoring fellowship to them, you're going to save them. This is going after that single sheep that's gone astray. I'm going to go save you. And so you're not angry about this, not in a sinful way. You're coming with a restorative attitude. And so when a husband sees sin in his wife, his first responsibility is to deal with his own sin. Like, is there something, and examine his whole situation. Is there something going on here that I need to take account to, that I'm sinning, so that I can deal with what's going on? And then after he's dealt with his own sin, if he needs to repent, he needs to go do that. And then he can deal properly with his wife's sin in this instance. And that is having a conversation and calling her to repentance. In the same way, after you spank your kids, you call them to repentance, but you're not spanking your wife. We're not Muslims. So
And I think it's really important. And the reason for that is the clear jurisdictions that Knox just mentioned. So parents together are given jurisdiction over young children and have duty to discipline young children using the rod. But the husband doesn't have that same kind of jurisdiction over his wife. That's just, he has authority. He's her head, but it's not the same.
KB's tracking with us. I see you, KB. Salute.
Okay.
All right. So I wanted to play this clip that got cut from the doc talking about discipline, because most of the time when you talk about spanking, there is definitely a caricature of spanking that exists. right? Like, and I understand that one, and it's abusive. They would like to use that word. I don't like to use that word because I don't think people know what abuse is really anymore.
Right.
It's sinful.
I mentioned this with us, when we did foster care training.
Yeah,
it was routinely mentioned along with biting, kicking, spitting,
right,
and spanking, as if it was just one of those things.
Yeah, and so, but this was dealing with the two ways that you can ruin your kid.
There are two ways to destroy our children. The first one is cruelty. You beat them in anger, you humiliate them, you break their spirits until they either become rebellious or become hollow altogether. The scripture condemns this, and fathers are not to provoke their children to wrath. That's what Ephesians 6:4 says. But the second error is worse. Remember Eli? He was a priest. His sons were very wicked. They stole sacrifices. They slept with women who were serving with them at the tabernacle. And Eli knew about all of this. He confronted them once. No consequences, no removal from ministry, nothing. God's judgment? Well, both sons were killed in a single day. The ark of God was captured. Eli, hearing about this, he falls over backwards and breaks his neck. Gentle fathering, a destroyed family, and a nation without its priesthood, which means Ichabod, the glory of God, had departed from Israel. David made a similar mistake with Absalom. David, the man after God's own heart, couldn't discipline his own son. The result? You have a civil war. And then you have Absalom dead, hanging from a tree. And then you have David weeping, "Oh, my son, Absalom." You have two different errors going on here, but it's the same sin that's underneath both of them. You have parents who love their own comfort more than their children's soul. The harsh parent, they want obedience without the work of instruction. The lenient parent, they want peace without the pain of confrontation. Both are forms of selfishness, and the child knows the difference. The rod without instruction is brutality, but instruction without the rod, that's Eli, that's David. That's where we have right now in a modern America.
Man, it's hard to cut that kind of stuff, man. I don't know how you do that.
It was easy to cut because it was me. If it was you guys, I probably would have left it. It was like me, I cut it. Yeah, it's easier to cut that stuff. As someone who grew up underneath a very strict household, my mom was really fantastic at discipline. I don't remember, I think she was rightfully angry at me when she disciplined me. And so her anger felt righteous. Okay. And, it wasn't like an anger that was like, I hate you. It was like, it was more rescue. So I got good discipline from my mom. There was just one time I probably deserved it, but for my father was not good at discipline. My sin as a child angered him to the point that he was mad at me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Not in a rescue type of way. So then I got beatings.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And I'm great. Can I say this? I'm going to say this, and people aren't going to like it. I'm grateful for those.
Yeah.
I am so grateful for those, because even in my dad's era of spanking me, like I learned he wasn't spanking me for no reason. Yeah. There was sin there.
Right.
And even though he did it wrong, I still learned right. And that's the mercy of God in this. Yeah. By the way, praise God, if parents have done this wrong.
And that's why I would say previous eras, this is not to justify any sin against kids, but previous eras where spanking was normal, even when it was sometimes done in anger and harshly and so on, I think we had a more healthy culture because
hands down.
Because I think you had kids that were growing up learning, though, that there was still a right side up to the world.
Right.
And like even though they might know, like, okay, there's something off about this, there's something wrong about this, they were being taught, no, like there's hard consequences for certain kinds of actions.
Yes.
But we have generations now that have grown up who think they can remake the world however they want. And those hard consequences are still going to hit them like a freight train. But they've been trained and discipled into thinking you can make the world however you want to make it. You can take hormones. You can decide to be a different gender. You can murder your baby in the womb. You can do whatever you want. And somehow, again, Disney gospel, it's going to work out for you.
There was, because of what people have seen done wrong, they think, therefore, let's remove it out of the category. Because we've had bad spanking, we should have no spanking. That's where the, this new movement, gentle parenting has come in. It's like, let's just remove spanking altogether. You can't. You got to remember, beatings for the back of fools. That's what the Bible says.
Right.
And when somebody has foolishness bound into them, there's a way to get it out.
Well, and in our video, I think we had the clip where I think it was from the interview that what's her name, Abigail Schreier did with
Allie Beth
Stuckey. And I think it was Allie Beth, in fact, who pointed it out that like when parents fail to discipline, that means you're leaving it up to the state.
Yes.
And so it's not like corporal punishment or no corporal punishment. There's always going to be corporal punishment. There's always going to be you're going to end up with a police baton, or worse, a prison sentence or a death penalty.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, though. I even think, though, and this is one of the things we point to the doc. And I didn't think we had enough time to work this thought through, but even that has failed.
Oh yeah,
right. Like even those things, like I wouldn't have a problem for some sort of like caning. Biblically, I think that totally is valid.
Right.
I remember that when I was a kid. I remember that guy that went over to China and spray painted a bunch of cars.
Okay.
Yeah, he just did some vandalism there.
This.
And so one of the things that they do there is they cane, right?
Right.
And so they were trying to, I was a kid, I remember this so clearly, and they were trying to America to push to make China not cane him. And I'm like, well, he's in China and he spray painted a bunch of cars. And that ain't America. And so he should
broke the law. I know.
And that's what they do.
Well,
and you never heard from him again. I think that was the last car he spray painted. I'm just saying.
Maybe he learned the lesson.
I think it worked.
I mean, but for millennia, even in Western Christian nations, that was an option. I mean, you a whipping of an adult.
Yes.
That.
Those are options for me. That and restitution. Yeah. Right. There's two things there, because here's what happens. Outside of that, we become a very unjust country where the people go to jail who steal something, and then that restitution is never repaid, but the person who just got stolen from has to pay for that person to be in jail for 3 to 5 years or whatever, right? Just absolutely unjust. So now, and then you you stack it, and you have a system, which we talked about, I think it was over $2 trillion a year.
Right.
In just that kind of system.
Well, and the worldview of all this, of course, is humanism. It's basically this humanistic view that says people are basically good, and the reason why they do evil is because they haven't been taught enough. They just need information. They just haven't been given the right education.
This goes back to Pelagianism.
Exactly. It's totally
right.
Pelagian.
Come on now.
And
that's good.
If you just give them the right information.
That's good.
But that was the advent of prisons. I mean, the reason why we started going to prison systems rather than restitution and punishment.
Man is good.
Is because man is good. And what we need is we just need to give them a re-education.
Are you done?
Oh, wow.
Oh, it's exactly right. And so they just need to be re-educated. They just need to be reformed. And so prisons were created actually to give these people sort of this rehabilitation.
Dead man can drink water.
No, you're totally right. You're totally right. But it's all based on that rather than saying you did wrong.
Yes.
This is evil, and this is the discipline or the punishment due to your actions.
Yes.
Which is far more, first of all, just dignifying.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
You did this action. Your choices matter. I call this the dignity of guilt.
Yeah.
This is the dignity of guilt. You did this. It was wrong. It was evil. This is the punishment. This is the penalty. But then also it allows for you to actually repent.
Come on now, Pastor.
I mean, this is why I hate timeout.
Yeah.
Like the whole idea of disciplining children by just saying like, look, you're just sort of under a black cloud, which is what happens frequently in I think in these like non-spanking
isolation.
Households. Yeah. Like you're going to sit over there and think about it for a while. Now, first of all, a 5-year-old boy, a 4-year-old boy, he can't think.
Otherwise, he wouldn't have did it. There's foolishness in there.
Yeah, he's not thinking about it. Yeah. He's sitting in the corner just wondering, like, when do I get out? When's dinner?
Yeah.
Like I'm mad, and like you're not teaching him anything, and it's like he's not thinking about it. But it's just I mean, maybe when they're older, when there's a teenager, you can give them some moment to think about it or whatever, because they're at a point where they actually can't, maybe. But in general, the most gracious thing is to spank, forgive, restore fellowship, and then boom, sun's back out.
Yeah, that's one of the things that you said inside the doc with your wife. And one of the things that Gabe hit on too was that this is about restoration.
Yeah.
And this is one of the reasons why the current judicial system I don't like, because what we have is we have career criminals now because we created an environment for that. And then we don't have restitution paid back to the victim. But in that, we don't have restoration between the criminal and the victim anymore. Right. Like that's another thing that's really important.
And the way it's talked about is it's described as crimes against society. Against society, against the state. And it's like, no. I mean, I guess if you burn down the Capitol building, okay, fine. But like, no, most of these crimes are committed against other individual people. And those relationships need to be restored.
That's right.
Do restitution, ask for forgiveness, and occasionally there are still letters of apology, but it's very few and far between.
But part of the punishment though is part of the discipline is like, this is why.
Don't put it right.
This is why I liked indentured servitude. Okay, can I just say it? I mean, we've lost something here. I know. I'm just saying it all. I'm just saying it all. We're just like spanking indentured servitude. Well, not like slavery people. Okay.
Well, the 13th Amendment did not outlaw slavery.
That's right. It just changed who was in charge.
It only said that the state could have slaves.
That's right.
And they're called penitentiaries and prisons.
That's right.
So slavery is still perfectly legal.
That's what Kanye was talking about, 13th Amendment, right? He's like, this is a problem.
And now we're quoting Kanye.
Yeah. What else can happen on this show?
Oh, but the value of a true regulated indentured servitude is you work off your debt. If you can't pay it, because a lot of people can't, then you work it off. And you're working it off to the person you harmed, and then as soon as the debt is paid, you go free. And again, that's the dignity of putting things right. And a handshake at the end that says, hey, thank you for paying that back. And you can go back into society with your head held high. Because you failed, you did something wrong, but you put it right, you made it right, and you've been reconciled to the one that did you wrong, you did wrong to.
I might have been in jail my older years if it wasn't for my mama. I stole some gum. And she found the gum underneath the bed. No, I didn't pay for it. Made me take it back to the store. And when I went back to the store, she said, and you're going to apologize to the man. And I thought, okay, I'm going to go do that. After she got done beating me, I did get a good whooping on that. And I learned not to steal anymore. But one of the things that was crazy was when we were there, she's like, and he's going to work for you for the next week.
Wow. I knew I loved your mom.
She told the manager, and I looked at her like I am.
Right.
I learned. And in that moment, I learned more about that store and what they had to go through to bring us goods and services.
Right.
And I became indebted to them for that knowledge. And I looked at every time now to this day when I go and see gum on the shelf.
You remember that?
I remember what it takes to get it there. I remember the trucks and the people taking the time out to get on the truck, taking care of it.
Stocking the shelves.
Stocking the shelves.
The price tags
organizing and everything. And what I did was I took from those people's families.
Right.
Like I took from those people's families and they wouldn't be able to support their family because of what I was doing. And I'm like, I am destroying the very society that I say that I love.
Right.
And it was that, and that's what we're missing in the process of indentured servitude, going back and working off what it was that you took. And the Bible, look, the Bible has limitations on this. It has a whole layout of this. It has case laws on how to do this.
Right.
And so there's limits here. But what we have now is that we're not getting those restorations.
No.
I didn't look at like with the writers, they're like, oh, you have this and I don't have that. And so now I'm going to take it from you.
Right.
No, I didn't understand the world that way.
I'm just thinking as you're talking, Knox, like, I mean, all that shoplifting that's going on. All these big cities. And we're and certain places, and this is in San Francisco or whatever, like they don't even prosecute.
California.
They don't even prosecute if it's
up
not
to
like
$1,500.
Whatever it is. And then, whenever one of these riots breaks out in Minneapolis or one of these places, you see all these videos of people just riding into shops and just walking out with these things. And it's like, these people did not have a mom that said, no, you are not going to grow up and be that way.
Joyful obedience should be coming from your heart.
Right. and when there's an infraction, a pack of gum.
Yep.
A lot of moms and dads be, oh, it's just a little pack of gum. It's not a big deal. It's like, no, your mom knew that grows up into a monster.
Yes.
And we're gonna nip it in the bud right now. In Psalm 19, one of the text I was just thinking of earlier when we were talking about this is he says, David says, who can understand his errors? Which is a really good question. Who can understand evil? Who can understand why we sin? And it says, cleanse thou me from secret faults. Keep back thy servant also from presumptuous sins. Let them not have dominion over me. And then I shall be upright and I shall be innocent from the great transgression. The thing that people don't understand, David's talking about, where does sin and evil come from? Well, you have secret sins, presumptuous sins, and great transgressions. And parents frequently think, I'm going to go after those presumptuous sins. When he throws the fit and he says no, and takes a swing at me, well, okay, then I'll spank for that, because that's presumptuous.
It's clear, yeah.
It's clear. And what David is saying, no. This starts more in places where it looks like a secret sin. It's in the heart. And that's where parents really have to be praying for wisdom to study the hearts of their kids. And I just want to underline this point, and I think this is something the Proverbs in particular underline. Think about this. Proverbs 23 says, my son, give me your heart. My son, give me your heart. Like that's what you're commissioned by God to do, is get your sons, your daughters' hearts. And how do you get their hearts? Well, foolishness is bound up in the heart of a child, but the rod of correction drives it far from him. You get into his heart.
Yes.
Through the rod and teaching, through rod and discipline, through rod and correction.
One of the things that I've seen in my wife and I disciplining our kids, the joy that it brings to the family. I think you and your wife were talking about that. I can't speak highly enough about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the failure, and my biggest failure in the disciplining of my kids has not been to be on top of it fast enough.
Yeah.
Right. Like that has been my biggest failure, like of all of it. And I'm seeing it because okay, maybe I think your wife was talking about is like, okay, you've waited for a while thinking they'll get over it or something.
You think you're being nice.
And you're trying your best to be merciful.
Right.
You think you're being nice.
Yeah.
But you're not actually helping the kid. And that's what I've had to click in my head. Stop hurting your child. Yeah. Like that's what I'm doing in those moments.
What does the proverb say? The tender mercies of the wicked are cruel.
Oh, ouch. Well, thanks, Pastor. That's very comforting for me.
But we've all done it. Oh, Knox, but we've all done it.
Ooh.
We think we're being merciful, and we're actually being cruel. You can break your child out of that prison. Like sin is slavery. That's what the Bible says. Sin is slavery. A bad attitude is a prison cell. And you can break them out. Like, no, you're my son, you're my daughter, I love you. Let's get out of that jail. Let's get out of that prison.
Pastor, let me ask you something. What is the sin going on in the parent's heart that stops them from engaging that? Because there's a sin there that...
It's a bunch of things, but I mean, one of them we touched on earlier.
Yeah.
I think it's
holiness of God issue.
Well, and it's also but you would know, like, that would deal with you. Like so much of parenting is you're just doing a mirror. You're looking in a mirror.
Yeah.
And if you discipline them for that bad attitude,
you're on the block too.
What about your attitude to when your husband asked you to do something for you? Or your wife asked you to do something? Were you kind of grumpy in your heart? Did you push back? Did you have a bad attitude? And suddenly it's like, I can't do that. That would be hypocrisy. A lot of parents don't discipline their kids at the heart level because that would put a razor,
they got hypocrisy in their own lives.
To their own life. And it's like, so I think that's one thing. I think another thing is just pure laziness. It's hard work. These little sins, these secret sins, when they're little, it's like little weeds in your garden. And you look out at the garden, like I do sometimes from the window, and you can't see the little weeds. And you look at it like, oh, it's clean. And you don't want to go out there. But what God says, you need to go out there and look. Get down on your knees and look in the dirt, and you can see little green leaves poking up. And that's not flowers. That's not vegetables. That's a weed.
Yeah.
And diligence goes out there every day and pulls the little weeds and says, no, not the bad attitude. No, not this. And again, don't hear me wrong. I'm not saying you have to spank for every single infraction. That's not what I'm saying, okay? I believe it is a very useful tool. Very useful tool. But I'm not saying that. There's lots of room for do-overs. There's lots of room for, hey, honey, come on, let's show me cheerful. And if she can turn it around and right away and say, and put the smile on, then praise God.
I find out though, the spank usually is the thing that helps turn that around quickly.
But often that's the key. And you think you're being nice. It's like, get the weed out, pull the weed, break them out of the prison cell, break them out of that slavery. You can do a jailbreak right now. But I think we're lazy. I also think we're cowards. I think we're afraid, because if you actually parent like this, you're going to get a bunch of nasty looks from a bunch of people, just like Nancy Wilson.
That's true.
A bunch of, it's like, and I remember this, like, I'm gonna tell, I think I've told this story before, but I'll make it anonymous just to protect the innocent, even though I think I've told it with names before. But I remember I was young married here in Moscow, and we went to a friend's house who had a little tyke that was probably like 3 or 4, and a well-known family in our community.
I think I know this.
And we're sitting at the dinner, finished dinner with them. We don't have kids yet. And then the little tyke gets down, is playing around. He's and comes through the kitchen, and all of a sudden I see the dad get up and says, "Oh, excuse me," and like I didn't see anything. He picks up the son, walks out, comes back a minute later, and the little tyke is wiping his eyes, and then he walks over and he kicks the vacuum cleaner, and then walks out, and I'm like, okay, that's funny, and dad looks at me after he walks out and just says, he's been afraid of the vacuum cleaner recently. And so I just made it a rule that every time he sees the vacuum cleaner, he has to kick it. And if he doesn't, he gets a swat, gets a spank.
Yeah.
I mean, I know, here we go. Internet's going to go berserk again.
Let him.
Right? But it was like, for me, like, how you were with Nancy?
Yeah.
With Miss Wilson? I was the same way with that moment. Like, I didn't have kids yet. And I was like, write this down. Oh my goodness. Like, he was training his, 3-year-old son to be courageous,
to meet with him at the gates with his enemies.
For real. And he saw that fear
would dominate his heart
as sin.
Yes.
Like the Bible commands you.
And he told him to fight it.
Fear not. You may not be fear. You must be anxious for nothing. And again, I go back to the quotes.
Glory.
Yeah. The question from YouTube, this child was not being disobedient. She was expressing a completely normal feeling. Disappointment. No, with all due respect, that's a sin. It's a sin to have a bad attitude. It's a sin not to rejoice always. Now, I'm not saying every parent has to address it exactly the same way, but you need to know that is a sin. It is a sin not to rejoice always. Paul says it twice.
Yep.
Again, let me say it again, because I know a bunch of you weren't paying attention and a bunch of you made a bunch of excuses and said, well, he doesn't really mean that. And Paul says, no, again, I say, rejoice. You have to rejoice always. And a bad attitude is sin. And I remember that dad, and I thought to myself, this is another level.
Yep.
This is another level.
Come on now.
He is insisting that his young son is going to fight fear now, because that little boy is going to grow up and be a dad and a husband, and is going to stand with the enemy and speak with the enemies in the gate. And I need a courageous son to stand with me. And so we're going to start learning courage right now.
And that's one of the things that, so far, that's one of the things that really stands out in the next doc.
Okay.
The next documentary, I'm just going to play the trailer.
Oh boy, here we go.
Those who fear the mob more than they fear God will serve the mob. So it's July 23rd, 2019. I'm working for Founders Ministry, and we release our first trailer for the documentary By What Standard. In that trailer, there's one image that appears for just a bit over a second.
And principalities.
The Southern Baptists were already getting played before any of this started. For years, the denomination had been caving on social justice issues. They'd repented multiple times for the sin of slavery. By the time the abuse crisis hit, the SBC was already trained and primed for manipulation.
Conducting an unlicensed investigation in Tennessee is a Class A misdemeanor. You can't make this up.
The biblical standard is clear: 2 or 3 witnesses.
He said it was a consensual affair. She said it was assault.
You don't have to prove anyone is guilty of anything. You just have to make defending the institution look like defending abuse. Charges for sexual abuse? The result?
The denomination with 17 million members, 47,000 churches, the largest conservative Protestant denomination in America, gutted from the inside.
Oh, that's the first time I got to see that.
With special guest Rod Martin, who was on the executive committee, and Megan Basham.
Ooh.
And when I tell you this thing's hidden, is hidden.
Oh man,
it is. This might be the longest one we do, but it's going to be worth it every minute.
And this is dropping on Tuesday.
This is dropping on Tuesday.
A week from today.
Yes. So
tell all your friends, schedule a watch party.
Yeah, absolutely. This one is, it's. I was talking to you about this earlier.
Yeah.
Let me say two things first. One is, if you don't get that fear out of your children's heart now, you will be like the man who caved on this doc.
Yeah.
Like the doc talks about that, what happened, how they got played, because they were afraid.
Yeah.
And if you don't get that fear out, you will lose your conservative denominations because of that kind of fear that refused to be bold.
You didn't require your 3-year-old to kick the vacuum cleaner.
The other thing I want to say is this: evil is arrogant. In watching the play that was run on the Southern Baptist Convention and then going back and finding all the information, it's just everywhere. Like all the data and information, it's not hidden, it's not tucked underneath the rug. So it's just publicly everywhere.
Right out there.
It's just right out there. Yeah. And they were so arrogant in their movements that that they never thought they were going to get caught.
Yeah.
You ever seen people who are sinning and they sin? After a while, we talk about this all the time. Sin blinds you from seeing clearly. Yeah. And so you don't even see that you're not leaving breadcrumbs anymore. You're leaving full loaves.
Yeah, you don't have to tell me, man. I'm telling you.
You're just leaving full loaves everywhere. I was over here.
Right.
I was here doing my thing.
Right. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Like, for example, right now, Ray J, I don't know if everybody knows who, you probably don't know who Ray, Brandy's sister. Brandy had a TV show, Moesha.
I'm sorry. Anyway, I've heard of Moesha.
Yeah, okay. So she has a brother. And he was just living his life to the absolute fullest, he thought. Okay. Thought what a full life was, drinking, all kinds of stuff, drugs, everything.
Oh, he's partying.
And now he's in his 40s, mid 40s, and his heart is giving out. And the doctor told him, if you make it to the next year, it'll be amazing.
Okay.
And it's like he just left a trail everywhere of his sin. And you don't think that's going to catch up with the arrogance and pride that comes with the sinful attitude. Like it blinds you to see this. And so now going back after just a little time.
Yeah.
And investigating with a clear conscience, we just see this trail everywhere, and it's just like propped up on a T.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've noticed that the enemy uses against us is immediacy.
Yep.
They want you, and Pastor, you've talked about this. We talked about this when it comes to immigration. We talked about it when it comes to bills and laws. They want you to move and jump around as soon as they say something. Right. We got a crisis.
Yeah.
And so what they want you to do is to get off your post, get down off your wall, put away your trowel, and then they want you to jump out and start fighting. Come running to this issue, and it's like, no, I'm gonna just maintain. We'll deal with this.
I got work to do.
I got work to do, and so they manipulate you with crises to move you right where they want you to, so that they can get to the place where you're at. And this doc
that's what happened with the SBC.
That's exactly what happened with the SBC,
and it's what can happen to your family. It's what can happen to your denomination. Maybe you're not part of the SBC, but it can happen. I mean, one of the things we're tracing in this doc is something that Gary North actually traces in a book called, is it called Cross Fingers?
Yep.
How, and he uses the old Presbyterian denomination, America was founded essentially as a Presbyterian, there's a bunch of Baptists and Methodists, but it was a bunch of Presbyterians leading the way. That's why King George called it the Presbyterian Revolt.
Yep.
And that conservative Presbyterian denomination got captured by the liberals in the early part of the 20th century. And Gary North traces that and says, this is what they did. Here are the steps. And it's like, we just took that and we kind of overlaid it on top of the SBC story. And we're like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I noticed. So the SBC has been unique compared to the other denominations because they actually came out of liberalism.
They turned back the clock.
Right. And so, I think it was called the conservative resurgence was the whole thing.
Yes.
And so, but the play got run on them again within the lifetime of Al Mohler. So Al Mohler comes in, I believe, in like 95.
Okay.
So around that, like 93, 95, I believe he gets his appointment at the Southern Baptist Theological Sem. And so, but within his lifetime, that same play is run on them again.
Yeah.
And this time they were anemic to be able to fight against it. And this tracks the story. Yeah. But here's one of the things that I've learned. Pastor Wilson has said this, and it's so true. You make a fuss at the first crime scene.
That's right.
Now, I'm going to add something to what he said. If you don't, they will. When founders dropped the trailer and Rachel Denhollander was presented in the trailer, the other side made the fuss.
Yep.
And we should have in the moment said,
oh,
why is y'all's acting so crazy about this?
Yeah.
Over the target.
Right.
Dead over the target.
Yep.
And they made such a fuss to push back enough to not have that be the main theme of the trailer,
right,
or the main theme of the film.
Yeah.
Right. And we should have done it. And because I look at it now and the fallout because of not dealing with that then, we could have saved so much inside of the SBC and the takeover of a conservative denomination had we dealt with that battle there. So I'm excited about this. This is going to be a doozy. It really is.
I got to read these ads or else I'm going to get fired.
Yes.
Every dollar you spend supports either your values or works against them. With Patriot Mobile, America's only Christian conservative wireless provider, you can make a difference without sacrificing quality. Patriot Mobile offers exceptional nationwide coverage by utilizing all 3 major U.S. networks and even allows you to add 2 numbers on different networks on one smartphone. I don't know who would want to do that, but if that's you, go for it. Stay connected with
Android people.
With flexible, unlimited data plans, mobile hotspots, international roaming, and internet backup. Most importantly, a portion of every bill helps spread the gospel, defend the unborn, and support military and veteran heroes. Switching is easy. Keep your number and phone or upgrade. With Patriot Mobile's 100% U.S.-based team, you'll be activated in minutes. Visit patriotmobile.com/CrossPolitic or call 972-PATRIOT to get a free month of service with promo code CrossPolitic. Make the switch. That's patriotmobile.com/CrossPolitic or call 972-PATRIOT. Now, I've also got to tell you about Dominion Wealth Strategists. If it comes on my screen, maybe I can help it here. There it goes. You listen to CrossPolitic because you care about seeing Christ's lordship over every area of life, including the civil realm. But establishing righteous laws and a just society requires resources. That's where Dominion Wealth Strategists comes in. They're not just here to help you survive in a broken system. They're here to help you reform it. Dominion Wealth's mission is to equip Christians with financial strategies that align with biblical principles so that Christian wealth can be built, protected, and used in the furthering of God's kingdom. Budgeting, saving, debt management, insurance, legacy planning, and more. Dominion Wealth is about giving Christians the tools to take the Dominion mandate seriously. The push to establish righteous laws doesn't just need voices. It requires money, resources, businesses, and families committed to active multi-generational faithfulness and the empowering of individuals like you to give generously from a position of security and strength. Too many people are trying to pour from an empty cup, but Dominion will ensure yours runneth over. Christ will reign and every knee will bow. So let's prepare for that future together and build one of the means to make it happen. So book your free consultation today at reformed.money.
That's reformed.money.
Oh, I see. Okay.
All right. So I want to say real quick, thank you to all of our club members who donate to us every month. It means a lot. Because of you guys, we are able to do what we do with these docs. I think this is going to be some of the best work that we've done. And so I just want to say thank you. And to all of our sponsors, because of our sponsors, we're able to do this. So go check out our sponsors. But sign up to become a club member helps us and allows us to be able to do these types of things for you. And I think these are fantastic deep dives. And I think next week, the week after when we do our live show. So you guys know the pattern. It's a doc and then it's a live stream about the doc.
That's right.
And the doc and live stream about the doc. I want to kind of lay out for you guys what we're doing. If you go back, there's a narrative that's happening in all these docs. So by the time we get to the 5th one, you'll probably see the narrative. But that's why I want you to go back and listen to the Worldview Shotgun series, because it's all in there. But all of these are foundational principles that you need right now that you can apply right now. And they're not just entertainment pieces or content pieces. These are biblical doctrines that you exercise right now and you'll take over the world. Really mean that. So thank you, all the club members. If you're not a club member, go to crosspolitic.com, become a club member, and let's make some more documentaries. We got 10. All right. If you're single, get married. If you're married, have you some kids. And if you have kids, go baptize them. Until next time, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. This It's CrossPolitic.
Unto Israel.